Right, all. It's Eddie with the Crippled Handyman. Hey, if you want to start a painting business, um, it's actually a very low cost for a startup to have your painting business. Does not cost a lot of money versus a lot of other, you know, skilled trades. Um, like being like starting a HVAC company or a plumbing company, or being a carpenter contractor, um, electrical company. They require some very expensive tools, and it's like there are many types of businesses that do not cost a ton of money to start up. So, like, say you're working, the first key one, step one, is you want to get out into working world, and you say, you know what, I'm going to choose painting. Seems a little bit more um, easier on the body. Maybe not. You're up and down ladders. You're moving ladders. You're moving paint machines. You're moving buckets of paint. And yeah, those can get heavy. They can. But it's not like continuous, even though it is continuous, but it's not continuous. I mean, shoot, whatever job you get on, you could actually have, like, say you go to Sherwin Williams, they'll actually deliver the product right to the job for you. They'll deliver it right to the job for you. So, but what does it take um, for starting a painting company? You know, um, it's there's I would say it can't cost that much, to um, start a company, being a painter. But here are some steps that you have to do. You have to take. Hold on, I'm always thirsty, maybe because I talk a lot. Um, like if you're a good painter, and you have potential to grow a business and start a business, you can make a minimum. You can have a comfortable yearly income of, say 95 grand. That's the low end. And you could probably make yourself anywhere from 150 to 200,000 annually being a good painting contractor. And it depends on how far you grow or how large you grow. Um, and the larger you get, the more, like anything else, the more headaches, the more responsibilities. You got workman's comp, you got insurance, you got many, many things. But you can, I know many painting companies, they just keep 2, 3 guys, that's including themselves. That's it. To do it by yourself, you can't do it. To be successful, like that would be more or less like doing it as a side job. If someone like, hey, can you paint a bedroom, a couple bedrooms, couple rooms, and or if you want to paint the house, and and you just tell them, it's like, well, I got weekends, I could maybe do 2 bedrooms one weekend, hit another, and then people are moving furniture, however, whatever the case is. But to have a successful business, you're going to need people. So you gotta create a business plan. Okay, that's like the first thing you're going to have to do, and it's like you want to know who are you going to go residential? Are you going to go commercial? Who is what target? Uh, what are you going to go after? What, like I said, the residential or commercial. You could do both, but probably it's like I would say the residential end would probably be a little bit easier getting into. Um, and then kind of see if you have a lot of competitors. Now, if you are a darn good painter and you don't let it get to your head and charge, like, say 3 times of what an average painter charges, a lot of people will just be like, well, we need this done. Say you see you're painting the exterior of a home, and obviously you're going to need all these ladders and so forth, but it's more or less like, what's your competition as well out there? Um, and I talked about like, um, and then even the kind of product you decide to use. Darn good, really good painters will not buy cheap paint. They refuse to because of the fact, um, like they want the job to hold up and last longer and look good, where there's not like imperfections, so to speak. Say someone opens, every time the sun comes through a house and looks through, shines against the wall, you don't want to see any imperfections or bad roll marks. So I guess you're going to have to decide, are you going to do residential or commercial, which are two different um, types of things. So if you go into commercial, uh, you're going to focus on much larger projects. Like you're going to need a lot more equipment. Say you do a exterior painting of a say a new restaurant. It'll be more income, 100%, but you're going to definitely need a bigger crew. You're going to be more expensive equipment, higher end equipment that'll handle, because now it's about speed, quality, and speed. Doing like these, you ever see these huge concrete buildings going up, and then they're painting the whole outside. I mean, these guys are not using a $300-400 sprayer. Those spraying machines, they could be in the thousands. I don't know, $1,500, $3,000, 4,000. I'm not 100%. It's I've seen all different types of equipment. It's different with the residential and commercial. Um, then the next thing, you're gonna have to like figure out the finances. You know what I mean? Um, I know there are a lot of people like you go get a business loan. You know, I don't know. To kind of like get you through the times. I mean, if you're gonna start a business in general for any type of thing, you definitely better make sure you have a good emergency fund, especially if you have a family, you have a mortgage, all that. You better make sure you have, I don't know, 50,000 tucked away, 100,000 tucked away, or you could get a business loan. To start a business. I don't know if I would go that route, but it's a it's an option if you wanted to do that. Um, because you could use that to say you could get enough money at a business loan. Say he's like, okay, I'm going to get a $75,000 business loan. That'll help actually cover payroll. Help cover your business license, your equipment, just to kind of get you going until when jobs start coming through, picking up. I wouldn't suggest going that route, but you can go that route. You know, um, it's an option. What else? We can. Oh yeah, hey, well, big one here. You got to make sure you got to choose a. You need a business name. You got to register your painting business. You need to be licensed and bonded. Um, and 'cause you got to pay taxes. And whatever insurance options you have to pay for your business. Um, and just I guess choosing a name would be probably like keep it simple, but I don't know. I see tons and tons of different types of business names, and I've seen some really unique ones, funny ones. I've just seen some just straight up names. They use their last name, or they use their first name. They'll go, I don't know, Eddie's Painting, residential and commercial. A lot of painting business, when you get in the business and you're in it for a while, they eventually do expand to commercial work. Um, so, and then, but going back to like, okay, well, how do you want to do it? Do you want to do a sole what is it? Proper, pro, sole proprietorship. Man, why is that so hard to say? Or you go into a corporation or an LLC, a limited liability company. And that's typically that's the most common business for small companies. That would be the recommended one. It just protects you as an owner, um, to protect your own personal liabilities. Anything is just anything related to the business is just goes right to the business. Doesn't go into your own personal means. Um, you have to insure your company. Very important to have insurance. It's not that expensive, just like general liability. Um, the main thing is it'll cover you against like lawsuits or people out there that um, for any financial property or bodily damage they say that could be related to your business. Um, yeah, so that would be like the thing was at number three, kind of talking about. So those are things you kind of need to know what's going on. But the key thing before you start a business, you obviously already know the ins and outs. You've already had the skill, the training, and learning all the techniques, and so you are ready to go on to that next venture. Say you've been painting for somebody for 10 years, and you're the lead, and typically that's when it gets a little nerve wracking as an owner. Not everyone wants to go in business, but to stay in business for yourself, or start your own business, you know, those owners, they're sad, upset, sad. They go through all these feelings when they lose one of their top people, but I'm sure they're happy for you. Um, then you want to make sure you have all the right. You got to get equipment now. Now you got to get everything you need for getting started. Well, tape measure, I would think. A lot of things are very minimal, very simple, like painter's tape, rollers, a paint sprayer, um, painter's multi tools, brushes, wall filler, I don't know, scrapers. You get stirring sticks from the painting company, you know, just different, like maybe paint mixers and stuff. If you're doing blends or so forth with, like, say, large on the commercial side, you want to mix up the paint, maybe like the filters, run the paint through filters, like I think it's a filter sock. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys are painters out there, do you guys just take the paint right out of the bucket? I know I do. That's what I do. And I've seen many painters who just, mix the bucket, shake it, and go right from there. Um, yeah. So that would be number four. Let's see. Next thing, now you gotta figure out. Oh, you have to figure out how to give an estimate. I'm sure there's tools and how to do that. Um, let's see. There's some simple tools or simple equations, so forth. I know things are a bit differently. Say if it's a one story or two story, I don't know if that even really matters. When you're using ladders, sprayers with long wands, then you're spraying the homes. A lot of homes are sprayed now. It's a time saver. Sprayers use more paint, but actually you're getting about almost 2-3 coats from a sprayer versus a roller. That's how a lot of guys could paint a house with one coat. Not always. There are some paints you may have to spray it an additional time, but if you use the right nozzles on the sprayer ends, you could probably get away with just doing one coat. Um, but then more or less like learning how to bid a job. It's like typically, like, say you buy a sprayer for $1,000. Well, you just can't take that $1,000 and say, okay, well, this first paint job that's $1,000. You break down the cost of the sprayer amongst multiple jobs. Um, then you just want to make sure you give your client an accurate and fair price. So you make money, and you don't want to lose money. And what homeowners don't understand, they'll hear of a price, but look at the kind of materials, the kind of product they're using, and the type of care that they're doing. Are they a little, typically a good painter, they're gonna visit clean everything. They're gonna, if you have an existing home, you have furniture, they're gonna cover everything. They're gonna do whatever they can. So typically they're not gonna spray when you have furniture inside. That's gonna be a rolled job. Because you don't want all that spray dust all over. But you got to learn how to, bid, you know, and make sure you know how, what the cost of all your materials are, so you figure that in properly. So say you're doing I'm just gonna throw a number because you could actually bid like $1 a square foot up to like $1.50 a square foot. These are numbers that I know of, even until today. So say let's go with, and that's counting like 2 coats. Okay, so $1.50, I think that's with primer. Say it's a bare drywall. $1.50 would be the first 50 cents would be the primer coat, and then like the next 50 cents is like the first coat, and then the other 50 cents is the second coat. So if you need primer, it's typically $1.50 a square foot. So if you have a 10 by 10 wall, I'm going to try to do some math with my phone. So you have a 10 by 10 room or 10 by 10 wall, so to speak. That's 100 square feet. Okay. And you multiply that by, that one wall in itself. So you need 2 coats. 10 by 10 isn't much. It takes nothing to do that. And that's realistically, that doesn't really happen. So someone's like, oh, yeah, I could paint that wall for $100. They may make a deal where it's like they may tell you, okay, you go buy the gallon of paint, and it could be done so many different ways. But I know that doesn't sound like a lot, so we'd have to go like through a whole room. So we got to go like four walls. Say they're 10 by, okay, say they're 80 square feet, 8-foot ceilings, 10 by 8, 10 by 8, 10 by 8, 10 by 8. Okay, so let's just take it from there. So basically, that's 80 square feet times 4. That's 360. I could do that math. 360. That's 360 square feet. And so basically, the painter would say, okay, that's $360 at $1. I personally, in today's time, because paint has gone up, so I would go multiply that by $1.50, and it'd be $540. And that seems very expensive. And sometimes a lot of painters will just play with that number. Maybe they'll go 1.25. They'll paint that bedroom with materials, taping, everything for $450. That still seems high. Maybe that's why the dollar, it'd be like $360 to paint that room, 2 gallons of paint, right? And we're just painting walls. We're not, so we're taping, painting. Just that one room that would take a day, if that. And then there's like furniture in there. The painter would not move the furniture. You'd have to move the furniture out of the room or move it out of their way. If you have to move the furniture, there's going to be other additional pricing. But so to speak, probably $1.50 if you're going to estimate that. And, $360 to say to paint a 300, rooms are typically about 400 square feet. So they got $100 in material and then $300 in labor. And some people think that's expensive. I don't. I think that's fair because you're paying someone to do a job for you. What do you want to do for like $50? Well, this is America, and if you hire some Don Juan where he hits the ceiling and all this or whatever, he's not careful or whatever, he doesn't like put drop cloths on the floor. So go figure about. You got to really know your how to do your costs. And painters, they have better discounts when they go to the painting store. I think I could use my buddy's. I use my buddy's account. I could get a gallon of the super paint for like, I think $45 a gallon, 44 a gallon. Whereas if I didn't have an account, just as Joe Schmo, you're going to pay $72 a gallon. So that's the big difference. So it'll be like, okay, you go buy your own paint. Now you got $140 in paint. Now you got to have a roller. You got to have a paintbrush. Before you know it, you're in the $200 some mark. By the time you get a good paintbrush, a good roller, paint bands, masking tape, all these accessories, where painters buy this stuff in bulk. So if you really think about it, to paint your room for $400, you yourself would save some money, but you still have to do all the work. Yeah, I got way sidetracked with that. But I'm just this is for helping people getting if you want to get into the painting world. I know a little bit about it. I think enough to talk about it. So you got to really develop a strategy of pricing. Um, you got to learn how to calculate your labor costs. Don't never, ever underestimate your self worth. You know, your skills and time are valuable. Bottom line, I don't give a shit what anyone says. It's like, oh, it's just painting. Well, do it yourself. If you don't want to paint, well, then don't complain. Yeah, there are painters out there that are super super busy, and what they'll do is like, oh, will you bid this? And then they'll bid it, but that's because they're super busy and they may have to work a Saturday. Saturday doesn't technically mean straight time. They got to pay their guys time and a half, so you may have to pay more money. Next thing, marketing. Market your private company or your painting company. There's a lot of ways. A lot of people I think go on. I've seen people on Nextdoor. Oh, my husband, we just moved here. He's a handyman. Blah blah blah. Oh, so we're painters. Someone needed a house paint. It's amazing how many people are just like vultures. Like, oh, I paint, calling me. I paint, calling me. I paint. That is like, I don't know. It just sounds desperate to me as a company. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I was starting a company, I'd probably do that. But it just seems you can market yourself in many ways. Word of mouth is basically the best marketing. Our HVAC business, it was word of mouth. We never advertised. Company was around for 50 plus years. People, you can send out email flyers. You ever see those flyers like oil change places have? You can send out flyers like that. You can say, okay, paint 3 rooms, and then the 4th room, and it'll say like 10, no bigger than like 10 by 10 is free. Um, I mean, it's a way to get your foot in the door because the painter already knows if he could bang out those 3 rooms in like say a day, 2 days to do the job. You know, his plan is he wants to at least make, if he's a solo painter and just starting out, it's a strategy just to get. Sometimes you have to give a little, and that would be kind of part of marketing. You know, and then do an awesome job, and then you don't have to do that to the next room. Those flyers have expiration dates on them. Very important to have an expiration date. Don't have an endless date flyer, because that's more or less like a marketing tool. You have them printed up and then you throw them in the mail. Um, like I said, word of mouth, that's a huge thing. You want to build a community, reviews, have people throw stuff on Yelp or whatever, or whatever the other things are in. Communicate with your clients, stay in touch with them, and you build a community within the industry, so you get to know other people, whether like supply houses. You work deals with them to give you better pricing on material. When you get super super busy and you're like, I'm going through 1,000 gallons a year. Just I'm throwing a number. It's like I'm spending a lot of money here. You know, it's either give me a deal, because you hate to like. It's not threatening, but it's like I think we should work something out. I'm doing 1,000 gallons a year. I'm not sure if that's a high amount. Doesn't sound like it. It only sounds like a few homes. Maybe if you're doing 5,000 gallons a year, that might be more. More better. I love that word. And then you kind of want to go around and then you just start getting the word out, and you're going to eventually grow. You're going to need, like I said, you're going to need employees. Maybe when you start out, 1 or 2, you have another guy, regardless in the beginning. And maybe you and a buddy start a business. And then if you start like getting really established, and you can start considering hiring people to go out there and do the work where you just do estimating. and you just want to make sure everyone does the same quality work that you do, so there's no changes. Because if you have get a repeat client, you want that quality of work to be the same. But typically, when painters will keep painting until they're in their upper 50s, they'll keep painting. You're still on the job. So you get up in the morning and go in and paint. You're typically in there, unless you're doing big commercial stuff. That's a little bit different. Guys are using paint sprayers. It's a totally different application. Like if you're doing schools or so forth like that, you're not. You're definitely not out there rolling the brush. You're a pure businessman. Um, and then see if you do need full time employees, part time, or you could actually hire another painting company to join in. Say it's a huge project, and that's why it is so important. Like when they talk about building a community, um, yeah, the sky's the limit with that. You figure out your payroll and all that. Um, just make sure you do all your payroll correctly. Have an accountant, and make sure you pay your payroll taxes, your FICA. And make sure your employees, or if they're W-2 employees, or if they're 1099, you're really better off with a W-2 employee if that's what someone really wants to do. There's a lot of options out there. Um, and then basically, um, your work in itself will speak volumes. If you're a darn good painter, you will you will always be busy. That's like in any industry. If you're a good painter, your prices are fair. You're you're gonna make it out there. You know. Um, I can't keep this video too short. It's really hard when you're trying to talk about um, having a business and starting everything from scratch, and where to go to. Um, it's just you can have a successful career with a painting company. And this is just one part of the construction world, and we need them. Like down here, yeah, I painted my whole house. Any painter could walk in here and he would not he to find a flaw. I would be very I can't find any flaws. Um, they might have sprayed the door jambs with a sprayer. I use like a fine roller, cabinet roller, on like the face of the trim. It's a Craftsman style trim on the house. The baseboard, I use a fine brush, but a lot of times painters will come in, they'll spray all the trim first, you know. But when there's certain finishes, you just don't want that spray dust. You could do it a gazillion different ways. Not really a gazillion, but you know what I mean. But man, I hope this, or gal, ladies, there are ladies out there that start their own painting business too. I've run into a couple gals. It's she loves painting and started her own business. And you know, and the thing is, you could kind of pick and choose kind of what you want. I think like doing exterior painting on homes, um, I think the profit margins are higher, especially like if you got 2 stories and all these funky roof lines and all this, where you have to get scaffold or whatnot, whatever, all the setup and all that. There's going to be a different margin on that, and that's where you have to learn, on your estimating, so you don't get burned. Uh, you definitely do not want to get burned because you typically spray a house. You can. I've seen homes that were rolled or brushed, and maybe for touch ups, but no. It's just learning how to calculate all those costs. There's going to be different types of labor costs. Just learning how to do that. These are kind of like the, nine steps. What do I say? We got you got to create a business plan. That would be like step 1. Step 2, you have to like figure out the finances for your new business. Step 3, you got to like choose a name, register your painting business. Um, Step 4, getting all your painting equipment. Step 5 would be learn how to give an estimate for painting jobs. Um, 6 would be, I think I would market market your painting company. So like I talked about word of mouth. What did my notes say? Step 7, yeah, build a community, word of mouth, reviews. Make sure you ask the client, hey, will you give me a review? Hire employees would be like number 8, and then basically number 9 would be basically just let your company speak for itself, or let your painting services speak for themselves. More or less, that's the quality of the job, the way you communicate with the homeowners or the other contractors. You're professional. You're there when you say you're there. Your estimates are on target. You don't go in and say, okay, I'm gonna paint your house for $6,500, and then you go up after it's all done. Before you're all done, it's like, ooh, the job should have been $8,500. Now you're talking about people are going to get into lawsuits and stuff like that. Don't get yourself into that position ever. It's bad enough that companies out there that provide services, I don't care what company it is, there are homeowners out there. I don't care how good you are. You could give them a plate of gold and they're going to complain about something. I know this from experience. In my 30 years in the construction industry, being HVAC, whether I'm building decks, I'm doing kitchens, I'm renovating, whatever I'm doing, whatever I did, um, I had, let's see, I've had good customers. I remember I had a condensing unit I installed, and that son of a gun would just always, it had a leak somewhere. Wasn't in my brazing joints at the coil nor at the unit. There was a leak in the actual condensing unit. And unfortunately, the vendor and all that, they're just they're real jerks about it. They're like, oh, I want you to repair it and then just send it. I don't I did I find it? It was in there. It was in such a bad spot. I know there's more to the story. Whatever it was, um, I didn't want to deal with the headache, and so I basically just went out and bought another condenser, and I just took that one out. And I did bring it back to the supply house, but they kind of like just gave me a hard time. They just gave me I mean, and they shouldn't have, because they're like, well, did someone drop? It's like nothing was dropped, none of that. It's a factory deal. So it was like trying to deal with this factory stuff. They basically just kind of made it almost impossible for me to kind of have a fair exchange or whatever. It sucked. But the homeowner was really cool about it. Now I have a situation where I did this huge custom home, and the lady, it was a monster bathroom. I mean, this room down here is like, I don't know, 17 by 17 or 18 by 18, this family room. And that was a bathroom. I literally had designed it, the BTU, input, output, all the heat loss and everything. And they didn't want radiant heat, all this ceramic, all this actually marble tile floors. And I remember I had 4 heat registers in there, 4 6-inch round supplies. In like, say, maybe it wasn't 17, maybe it was like 17 by 12. Okay. But maybe I had 5 in there. There's some windows, not much, but it was above the garage. And then all I remember, I'm just going, man, this floor is not going to be good for me. You go in there, and she's like, it's cold in here. And I look at her feet, she's barefoot, and she's complaining that the tile's cold. Brought my thermometer in there. It was 74 degrees in there. I'm like, it's 74 degrees in here. It's not cold. And it was just, yeah, no matter what, I couldn't even satisfy this gal. Didn't matter. Didn't even matter. I could have, and that's not on me. We even told them that if they wanted like some sort of heated floor or whatever. We tried to push that onto it because it was above a garage. And floor was cold. Is what it is. But you're going to come across that. So yeah, here it is. It's kind of like if you want to start like a painting business or whatever. These are kind of some steps to take, and you can make a lot of money. You could do very well. A lot of painters. I mean, depending on what direction you go. If you're happy and it's like, oh, I just care about if I get 2 jobs a week, just enough to get by, pay my bills. That's all I need. 2 a week. So that would be what, 8 jobs a month. That's all you need. That sounds actually pretty good. Actually, depending on the size of the job. If you're saying 2 full homes a week, you're making some good money. That'd be good money. You could probably live off that with 3 guys. You keep 3 guys going, you know, 2 3-day weeks. You could work Saturday 6 days a week, 3 days in that house, 3 days in that house. Boom, next house, 3 days in that house, and then kind of alternate it all. There's definitely ways, depending on the size of the home. Well, that's that with this. That's subscribe if you like, and I appreciate that. And we'll see you on the next one. We'll talk about another construction trade, guys, gals. Take care.